Okay, everybody. So we've waited the customary 5 minutes of grace for Zoom meetings to begin. So I think without further ado, we can get started with today's session. Thank you very much to those of you who are attending this parallel session on a Friday evening. Of course, I guess you've heard this now 1,000 times for every session that you've joined, but it would be lovely if we were meeting in person. Unfortunately, as you all know, we are stuck online still, but hopefully for the next council in December, we will actually be able to meet each other in person and hopefully continue to follow up on some of the connections that have been made today, even if the connections we're making today will be, for now, purely online. So maybe I should tell you who I am. My name's Pam Bartlett Quintanilla, and I'm the team leader for the campaigns and outreach team of the Greens IFA group in the European Parliament. You may be wondering, campaigns and outreach, that's a bit strange for a political group in the European Parliament to have a campaigns team. What are they campaigning on exactly? That's a pretty good question. Because as you may or may not know, from the perspective of a political group in the European Parliament, we cannot and do not campaign for votes. This is completely illegal and completely forbidden by the regulations, and it would count as illegal party financing. So apart from the fact that, of course, it doesn't make sense for a bunch of people stuck in Brussels in our own little bubble who have no knowledge of your local context or your language to go out campaigning for votes. So the campaigns that we run are really to achieve a concrete political change within the EU decision-making process by using our position as insiders, but leveraging the outside in order to increase our influence inside the bubble. So basically, knowing that we are unfortunately not yet one of the biggest political groups in Europe, one of the ways in which we've managed to really punch above our weight is by playing the game between the inside and the outside to really leverage public opinion and public pressure to push other MEPs from political groups, or to push the Commission, or to push the Council to hopefully follow our line. We also have an outreach team. Afterwards, I will give a presentation if there's time on exactly the kind of work that they do, but their main responsibility is, again, to really create strong networks across Europe, because, of course, if we fight political battles all alone, we're never going to win them. So we really believe in pushing change via a networked approach and via a partnership approach, in which our partnerships are really based on collective strategizing. And these relationships are built on trust. These are relationships that are built also on the added value of the group, which is basically the fact that we're playing this role on the inside. So we have access to up-to-date information about what's going on in the EU decision-making structures, which are notoriously opaque. We have access to intelligence about the positions of the other member states, which is useful, for example, if you want to have more information about what your political opponents are doing in Brussels. And this is the way in which basically we work as a team. So the aim of the session today is actually, firstly, to explain a little bit more about what we do, but mostly to hear from you about how the work that we're already doing to push for political change at European level can be useful for you in your national context. We've put together a little poll, actually. Hello, sorry, I have a thing here. We've put together a little poll with a couple of questions to ask what kinds of support or help you think that we as a group in the European Parliament working on really nerdy technical European dossiers could help you with. So I think Sarah, here we go, is putting a link to the poll in the chat. So we'd really like to hear from you there. But basically what we're going to do with this session, after having an initial tour de table where you can all introduce yourselves, is to go after a short presentation about the team into breakout rooms for around 45 minutes so that you can really brainstorm together on how to make our campaigns and our work more relevant for you, and on how we can better work together and really connect the struggles the fights that you're fighting at national or regional or local level with the fights that we're fighting at European level, all with the aim, obviously, of strengthening the green movement as a whole. It's important to mention that after the breakout rooms, we will not return to a plenary or to this configuration, because that's boring. And everyone always falls asleep in that reporting session. And because really the aim of these breakout sessions are for you to get to know each other and to really talk through the different issues. So I don't think we need to come back and tell everyone everything that everyone discussed. So if that sounds okay for you, then I would move forward then to a general tour de table, where I would invite those external to the Greens IFA group to present yourselves first, and then the campaigners can present themselves and tell you which campaigns they're working on and which breakout rooms, I hope, you can join them in. Does that sound okay? Does anyone have anything to say at this point? Any questions, proposals, ideas, suggestions? I don't see you, so please make noises. No, all sounds good. Okay, so then let's start with a quick tour de table. What we'd like to hear from you, apart from your name and country, is why you came to this session. What are your expectations? And if you already have an idea or a request for how we can better work together in the future. Who would like to go first? I don't know where I'm supposed to see the hands. Hang on. Everyone's shy today, or it's just Friday evening jet lag?
I can start in this case.
Thank you very much.
There is always someone that must be the first. So my name is Ewa Sufin-Jacquemart. I'm from the Polish Green Party, and I'm the director of the Polish Green Foundation Strefa Zieleni and member of the board of the Green European Foundation. And I'm here because in Poland we are struggling very hard against new GMOs. And we are a very small group of organizations because the topic is not very popular. And I'm very curious to know what the group is doing in this topic. And maybe put our forces together or link your activities to our activities.
Perfect. So you've come to the right place. Great. Who'd like to go next? Otherwise, I'm going to have to pick on you randomly. Maybe Matthias Hilger, you can take the floor. Sorry to pick on you. You're next on my list after Eva. So.
Sure. So yeah, I'm Matthias. I recently joined the EGP, and yeah, I'm just curious to hear from all the member parties their approach, and also their interest in digital campaigning. That's pretty much it.
Great, welcome. Charles from Sweden.
Yep, hi. I'm the head of the delegation to the EGP. And I've been speaking a lot at the CAS sessions, so I thought I would try and be quiet here. But I'm here because I've been working for a long time in the Green Party, and before that in the environmental movement, to try and improve the communication between the expertise in Brussels and the people working on the national level to better achieve our aims. And I would think that this will hopefully be a contribution to one way of doing that.
Brilliant. You've definitely come to the right place. Looking forward. Anastasia? No, no, Anastasia. Maybe Miriam Kennett.
Yes, thank you. I've come here because I run a think tank and we run campaigns, and I've just registered a COP climate delegation for next week, and also I think I just registered for the biodiversity one. And we're kind of reflecting on the campaigns that we should be running, what campaigning means vis-a-vis research, politics, etc., and trying to clarify what we're doing and how we can enhance the green movement and how we can link with you better. We're part of it as well. So I'm really interested to know how the campaigns are conceptualized, you know, what is the spread of campaigns and how we can work together in the most efficient way and how we can represent that on our websites, you know what I mean, how we can link together. So for me, it would be really good to take lots of Greens, maybe a bit more formally, to the COP and everything. I've got 19 people, probably half I think are Greens. But yeah, so really reflecting on what campaigns are for Greens. That's what we've been doing a lot in my think tank. I'm really interested in this session.
Great, cool, welcome Miriam. Who will I pick on next? Ambra Duro? No. Seems like there's an open mic, but trouble hearing the sound. I'll move on then while Ambra fixes that. I see Sofo, Green Forum Sweden.
Hey there, I am Sofo, correct? I work for the Swedish Green Foundation. However, I work with the Eastern European Green parties, not part of the European Union. So I'm here to listen in on the campaign topics, European level of objectives, and maybe after that drawing conclusions from the topic-wise perspective and how they can be, how these affect from the EU level to the non-EU level. Thank you very much.
Pam, you were muted when you said something.
Thank you. Adrian from Jeff, your turn.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Adrian. I'm from the Green European Foundation, one of the project coordinators here. I'm Hungarian, originally from Vojvodina, north part of Serbia. And together with our partners, which I see many of them here in this call, we are implementing one partner and transnational projects on various topics, going from cities to just transition to metals, summer schools as well. And I'm very much interested in this call here to learn more about the overall campaigns that are ongoing. And indeed, what Miriam mentioned, how do we find that target audience and how do we enhance the reach of the campaigns together? Mm-hmm. And I pass it on to Shira Tessman.
Thank you.
Hello. I missed the beginning of this, but I think we're presenting ourselves. Is that
Indeed.
right? Okay. Yes. So I'm Shira. I work for the board of the German Green Party, but I really only joined because I used to work for the Greens group in the European Parliament, and I kind of wanted to see what everyone's up to these days. So here I am.
Miss you, Shira. Great. Thank you. Welcome. Rodolfo?
Hi. Well, I'm in the International Secretary of Verdes Eco Spain. Actually, I joined this chat because I don't really know how the campaigns work. So I wanted to know more things and maybe putting more prepared people from my party into this task.
Sounds great. Welcome, welcome. You're in the right place. Ned?
Hey, how's it going? Actually, I'm also in Spain here, based in Barcelona. Ned, him, El, he, sorry, him, he, or El. As you can probably tell by my accent, I'm not originally from Spain, even though somehow Spanish pronouns just throw themselves in there. And technically, as of this week, a member of Verdes Eco also. But mostly my contact with Greens has been that I run a agency that in part supports progressive organizations, including several digital organizing for several Green parties around Europe. And I'm particularly interested, especially being here in Spain, where the party is not as prominent as in some other places, in seeing how those connections between higher level kind of pan-European efforts and local level actions can boost things where needed on both levels. And I also, the agency that I run has a network of 1,000 progressive organizations, or several thousand progressive organizations working in all kinds of issues, from denuclearization to anti-racist stuff to all their stuff. So I'm very interested to see how also just European progressive efforts can work together more, tying in the political and the issue-based at a better level, much like they do in US democratic state tables, where they have a really high level of coordination. So thanks for having me here.
Thanks a lot, Ned. Thanks for coming. You're definitely in the right place. Marianne, did you already say something, or am I confused by the logo?
Yeah, I've been already. Thank you.
Yeah. Sariana.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sariana Mankki, and I'm the International Secretary for the Finnish Greens. And I'm just here to hear about your campaigns, because my work mostly deals with member or EGP relations and other relations with other Green parties, and not so much with the parliamentary group. So just here to listen and learn what you have going on.
Brilliant, brilliant. Welcome. Who hasn't said anything yet? Ecologists Greens Greece. Would you like to introduce yourself? Maybe you don't know that I'm talking to you because I don't know. Yes?
Okay, thank you. So we're actually a group of people here from Athens, and we're looking forward to listen to this discussion. Obviously, for us, a number of issues that are interesting regarding, just transition and some others, but we're looking forward to hearing and learning more. Thank you.
Great, welcome. Very good to have you here. Nuria Kochling.
Hello, I'm Nuria. I'm working currently for an MEP, for a Green MEP, and I know Ishi, and I'm really excited to hear what other people have to say about arms export campaign, and that's why I'm here.
Brilliant, welcome. Ute, maybe you need no introduction, but go ahead.
Yes, hello, I'm just here as an observer, really. I'm a member of the EGP committee. I'm the treasurer, and quite often we discuss campaigns also with you, Pam, in the committee, and I'm just here to find out more what it actually means in detail and in practice.
Great, welcome, Ute. Ula, you're here with Alvina, I guess? Is that right?
Yes, just a moment. There we go. My connection is not great. Yes, I work for Alvina Alametsä in her team here in Brussels. I'm really pleased to see how many people we actually have online today.
Welcome, Ula. Benedetta?
Hi, everyone. I think I know most of you. I work for the EGP as a senior advisor, as you know, but I will be soon start working for the group. So this is why I'm also very keen to be in this session and hear once again about the campaigns from my future colleagues. I might not stay for the whole session, but I'm happy to see you all, and yeah, very interested to to hear from you.
Brilliant. Welcome. Is there anybody that I've missed from the list who hasn't had a chance to introduce themselves, who is not part of the team already? If so, please speak now or forever be disgruntled. Okay, good. Well, welcome everyone. I hope with this short session where the time is flying, as always happens with the introduction round, we can make some good connections. And I think there is a lot of interest here to really connect our struggles and strengthen the Green movement in general by making this link between the national, regional, local and European level. So I hope this will be the first of a series of exchanges that may turn into bilaterals, depending on, of course, the issue and the campaign that you're more specifically interested in. If I may, then, I just do a very quick run through of the Campaigns and Outreach Unit, so that you know a little bit how we work, and this will hopefully give you some ideas for how we could work together in the future. And then we would, as I mentioned earlier, do the breakout rooms, where you can then go into more detail depending on the topic that you're interested in. We will first, however, allow our campaigners to introduce themselves so they can tell you which campaigns they are working on, because these will be the campaigns that we then focus on in the different breakout rooms. So maybe I give the floor first to Narmeen, who's the first on this beautiful picture prepared by our colleagues in the EGP.
Hello everyone, so my name is Narmeen. I'm happy to all see you. I work on two campaigns. There's one regulating tech platforms and the other one focus more on the
Am I the only one having trouble hearing Narmeen?
No, you're not.
No. Okay. Maybe while Narmeen fixes the connection. Are you back, Narmeen? No? Then maybe we move on to Francisca.
Hi everyone, I'm Francisca. I also have two campaigns. We all have two campaigns. One is biodiversity, where we're focusing on forests and in particular the protection of forests from agricultural expansion, etc., etc. So that is very focused. But today I wanted to introduce the GMO campaign, where, as Eva said, we're struggling basically to keep GMOs out of Europe. But yeah, welcome to my breakout session.
Thanks very much, Francisca. Ishi?
Hi, everyone. So, as Francisca said, everybody has two campaigns. One campaign that I'm working on is the EU Mercosur trade agreement campaign. So if ever you want to do something about it, and I know everybody is really enthusiastic about this topic, please let me know. But today we're gonna talk about the arms export campaign. So Alvina will be joining us shortly in the breakout session, and she will sort of take the lead on this one. She's in charge of the campaign together with another MEP called Hannah Neumann, who Nuria is working for, who's also in the room. The idea or the setup today is to pick your brain to see how we can best roll out this campaign. What do you think could be possible obstacles in your member states? Because the idea is that we will build sort of national customized campaign strategies that hopefully you'll be able to work with as well. So if you're, it's limited to a number of member states. So if you're from either Germany, Finland, the Czech Republic, France, Spain, Belgium, the Netherlands, Sweden, Austria, or Italy, please join our session and give us your inputs. Thanks.
Or if you have an interest in working on arms exports more generally, of course, you're also welcome, no matter where you come from. But these are the countries where we're really trying to influence. So that's why we're specifically looking for people from those countries. Manu?
Hello, everyone. My name is Emmanuel Kujewski. Well, just like my colleagues, I have two campaigns on my plate. But the overarching name of those is the food campaign. But I mean, the goals are quite clear, trying to build a sustainable, green and fair food system in Europe. And to achieve this, we've got two work streams, one on the Common Agricultural Policy, which you might have heard of very recently, and the other one on pesticides. And in my breakout room, we'll try to focus on pesticides. But if you ever have any idea on how to solve this CAP mess, it's more than welcome.
Thanks very much, Manu. Nina?
Yes, hi. I have another mess, which is migration. No, I'm just joking. So I have two campaigns also, of course. One is Ethics Buddy and Transparency, which is about the conflict of interest, revolving doors. But today we will speak about my second campaign, which is on migration, and we just launched it. And what I will explain to you is this beautiful map that we have built with initiatives, local initiatives on how to welcome refugees and asylum seekers. It's basically about the need for relocation, the need for solidarity in the Migration Pact. And I mean, I would very much appreciate the input of some of you, like, for example, Charles, Sweden, or Rodolfo and Ned for Spain, because we have some blind spots still on the map that we would like to fill. And I would like to get your input about the situation in your countries, as any other country, of course. Everybody is super welcome, because this campaign is just starting, and, you know, it's the perfect time to build up on it with you. So yes, come to the session.
Great. Narmeen, do you want to try again?
Yes, sure. I hope this time is much better. Sorry for earlier. Yes. So hi everyone, I'm really happy to see you. As I was saying, I'm the digital rights campaigner. I work on one campaign, which is on regulating big tech platforms, and the other one is mainly on greening the ICT sector. So if you have any interest in greening the ICT sector, or even
Nami? So it looks like our digital campaigner needs better digital equipment. Are you back? We don't hear you because you're on mute.
Yes, I'm back. Can you hear me?
So we heard that you're working on the influence of big platforms. So basically on the regulation, the Digital Services Act, which is going to be the big digital file of the decade, I guess. And also on greening the ICT sector, so the impact of technology on the environment and how we can reduce, waste and increase reparability. Right? Is there anything else you'd like to say? Before you
yes, join the campaign. Come and join the session later. And this time my devices will work.
Great. Okay. All right. So I will do a very quick presentation, knowing that we are a little bit 3 minutes over time, but we started 5 minutes late. So I have 2 minutes then to steal your attention. I will see if I can share my screen. I am notoriously tech unsavvy. I look young but feel old. Okay. So is this working?
Yes, Pam.
Perfect. All right. So I just wanted to do a quick run through of the campaigns and outreach teams, so you get a very general idea of who we are, what we do, and ideally get some ideas of how we might be able to work together in the future. As I was saying at the beginning, our key objective as a group sitting in the European Parliament is really to push for the political change that we promised that we would achieve in the election campaign. And basically the way we do that is by leveraging public opinion, public opinion that's in our favor, in order to put pressure on other political actors in the Brussels bubble with the aim of achieving a concrete political goal, for example, a revision to a piece of legislation, or the proposal by the Commission of a new legislation, or, for example, the unblocking of a legislation in the Council. This is probably the hardest kind of campaign to run. So depending on the campaign, obviously the targets are different. Sometimes we try and really put a new idea on the table, in which case a lot of the campaigning is directed towards the European Commission, with a lot of legalistic arguments, as you know, the aim is to convince the European Commission not only that they should act, but that they can act within the scope of the treaties. Other times we are already working on a legislative file and trying to influence the way that that file is being voted on. So, for example, Manu has mentioned the CAP as one of the big files that we've been working on recently. And here it's very much about, well, when it's going through the parliament, trying to make enough public pressure, enough coordination with NGOs who also put pressure on the other MEPs in order to try and achieve a majority in the parliament for our proposals, knowing that as a political group with only 74, 75 MEPs, we don't have a majority by ourselves. So this is a little bit the game that we're playing between the inside and the outside to put pressure. Every now and then we'll have a campaign targeting the council, though these ones are very difficult because, as you know, the council's decision-making process is notoriously opaque. And there we have an interest in kind of strengthening our work vis-a-vis the council. One way that we will try and do this, obviously, is by leveraging our Greens in government to the extent that this is possible. The other way of doing this, of course, is cooperating with you more closely in the hopes that you would have a way to access information about your government position, given that, well, you probably know better than we do what connections we can use in order to access that crucial information, which for us is important to drive our strategy when it comes to how to target the different member states in the council. Because every campaign is different, every campaign has a different objective, every campaign has a different target, the tools that we use to achieve those objectives are obviously different. So I've mentioned, for example, you know, we would use a lot of legal analysis. If the target was the European Commission, for example, we might do more press work or social media campaigns or, you know, Twitter storms or email tools if we're trying to pressure the other political groups. And similarly for the council, for example, we would try to, you know, send letters, for example, signed by our ministers, or send letters signed by cross-party MEPs directed at the presidency of the council, calling on them to do something. So we're really very flexible in terms of the tools that we use. And we try, of course, to select the tool according to the objective and the target that we're trying to convince. So we've done everything from, you know, the most boring legal study you could ever imagine to stunts in the street screaming for, I don't know, protection for whistleblowers or whatever it might be, or bees or whatever. So we also like to dress up. As I mentioned at the very beginning, the key part of all of this work, of course, is really the alliance building and the fact that we try and work hand in hand with civil society and play on each other's strengths. So, for example, what civil society appreciates from us is the fact that as insiders, we have access to up-to-date information and intelligence on the positions of the other member states and the other political groups. And so we're able to kind of feed into their campaign strategy with information that they wouldn't be able to get if they didn't have access to an insider. On the other hand, what we appreciate from them, obviously, is their capacity to mobilize public opinion, their independence from any political movements, in the sense that they would then be free to put pressure on our political rivals. And so one of the key ways of working for a campaigner is really to create a coalition, a campaigning coalition, in which everyone is aligned in the strategy and aligned in the key demands. And of course, every member of that coalition may have a different angle, but the point is that they're all singing in unison, right? And repeating the same demands over and over again, just from different mouths. So that's a little bit how we do our campaigns. And always I insist to achieve a political change or a legislative change in the Brussels bubble. As for the outreach unit, again, everything that we do is really about strengthening our impact and our influence. So these are really our people who will proactively reach out to you, hopefully, once they're all on board. We're still onboarding, as you have heard, several of our staff here. But basically what they will do will try to connect the struggles, look for areas in which you are potentially campaigning on something at a local, regional, or national level, that also has a European angle. It might be that, you know, the EU has competence to legislate, but it might be that, for example, it's a problem that is common to several different countries, in which case it may make sense that we do something more pan-European. So they really work to kind of try and bring our campaigns down to the national level and make that connection. But on the other hand, what they're going to do is really well, rely on you for specific requests, actually, on how we can better work together, because that's what we really want to hear from you, and that's what we're going to have, hopefully two full-time people making sure that we're really reaching out to you and constantly asking how we can better support your work and better make these connections. So we're going to have 3 full-time staff. I won't go through into this. Maybe worth mentioning that we will have 1 staff that's specifically working on the south and east areas in which traditionally as a political force we've been quite weak until now. And we will also have 1 person working, which is Benedetta here, working specifically on our relationships with Greens in government, but of course also with local mayors, local councillors, regional ministers, and with our members of parliament in the national context, to see again where we can make these synergies and these partnerships. Finally, worth mentioning, we have 1 full-time data analyst called Matteo Lindley, who has brilliant intel, which I think would be useful for many of you. Basically, what he does, on the one hand, he monitors polls to kind of figure out what are the key issues in different countries, and which we start to use to now really frame our campaigns according to the different political and national context. And the other thing he does is he keeps records of important votes. And this is interesting because, as always happens, you know, you get to an electoral phase and you have your political rivals claiming that, you know, they pushed this or that through Brussels, or they stopped this and that happening in Brussels, and we can fact check that. So Matteo can look into all votes that were ever recorded and give you real information about whether or not your political rivals actually said what they said, actually did what they said they did, or if they tabled amendments that go totally against, you know, the public interest. So we can do this kind of naming and shaming of political opponents on the basis of the way in which they've previously voted. It's also very useful for future campaigning to have a look at previous votes, and in that way, A, identify not only rivals, okay, that's one thing, but B, allies, so allies that you might want to do a cross-party event with, or a high-level sign-on letter, but also to identify campaign targets, because we will be able to identify some MEPs that sometimes vote our way and other times don't. And to really highlight them as campaign targets, with the idea that if we target them with, for example, our Twitter drives or email drives, they are actually more likely to change their mind because they voted closer to us in certain issues. So this is really a resource that I hope you will find interesting and will want to use. I've just thrown here a link to our website, so you can see all of our campaigners. There you'll find their email addresses and phone numbers, so you can get in touch with them. And of course, you can get in touch with me for whatever you may need, because we are currently running in the group 18 campaigns, which is a lot of campaigns. But it may still be the case, of course, that your pet issue is not one of our campaigns. And there you won't have a campaigner to talk to, but you can still always come and contact me, and we can figure out if together with the outreach team there is something that can be done outside of the scope of the currently existing campaigns. So that's basically all I wanted to run through with you. I think, well, if anyone has any questions, maybe now would be a good time, because it's getting close to the moment where we would go into our breakout sessions. And as I mentioned before, there is no plan to come back to the plenary. We would all just move on to the next the next event after the breakout rooms. So please let me know if you have any questions now, and otherwise please don't hesitate to contact me bilaterally in the future as well. Any questions? Great. So Sarah has put also the list of our 18 approved campaigns, so you can have a look at that. And then I guess without further ado, we should move into the breakout rooms. Can someone who knows how Zoom works tell us how we're supposed to organize this? Join a breakout room.
Now Greg is gonna open the breakout rooms. You can choose in which breakout rooms to go. If the device doesn't allow you, just wait and write in the chat in which room you wanna join, and just wait for a few minutes. Thank you.
Yes. I'll stay here in the plenary in case anyone gets lost, or in case anyone wants to switch breakout rooms halfway through. So to join a breakout room, you just have to click on breakout rooms, and then you can select the one that you're most interested in.
Is there supposed to pop up something? Because I don't see anything.
You have to go to more in the bottom. Click on more breakout rooms, and you can choose from there.
Rodolfo, do you have a preference?
May I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
What are GMOs again, please?
Genetically modified organisms.
Okay, thank you very much.
No worries.
Yes, I'm actually interested in two, so I think I'm going first to migration, and then let's see later if I could come back to pesticides.
Great. If not, I note down that you're interested also in pesticides, and Manu can contact you bilaterally as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Miriam, do you have a preference for a breakout room?
Not sure. They all sound very interesting, to be honest. I don't know.
I'm also happy to stay if you want to have a more general chat on campaigning, because I remember you were looking for, no, you were kind of reflecting on what kinds of campaigns.
That would actually be quite useful, really, just to sort of scope in how you organise them. I'd be quite interested if that's available. Yes, could be
Yeah,
quite
sure.
interesting. Thank you.
I've got nothing better to do other than shifting people from one breakout room to the other. So yeah, happy to chat that through.
All right, thank you.
Cool. Charles, do you have a preference for a breakout room? I think you mentioned, yeah, improving communications between experts and member states. Charles, do you hear me? Maybe he went on a break. Anastasia, is she a colleague or a family member? Okay, I guess they're not by the screen. And Marco, are you going to join a breakout room, or are you going to hang out here?
If someone wants to join the tech room, they are waiting for people. So
Does anyone want to talk about campaigning on digital rights? Well, on the internet, yeah. It doesn't look like we have that much interest. Okay. All right, well, I think the people who are here are probably just have got the meeting on in the background. So Miriam, tell me more. I can run to the loo as well. So funny with online meetings. Are you back, Miriam? Adrien, welcome. Hello. We've just gone into breakout rooms, so I did a hello.
Hello.
Hi. Where are you from?
Switzerland. So I'm not really concerned by the European Parliament, but I'm still interested.
Good. Welcome. Welcome. Listen, we just did a general presentation of the campaigns and outreach team, and now we've gone into breakout rooms. Where each campaigner that we have in the team is focusing on a specific campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what are the different campaigns?
So right now we have a breakout room on weapons exports, so controlling that weapons made in the EU are not sent to dictators or warmongers.
Oh, yeah. That's relevant for Switzerland as well, yeah.
Indeed. Yes. We also have a session on the Digital Services Act, which is going to shape the rules for the internet for the next, I don't know how long, couple of decades, and the impact of technology on the environment. Then we also have a breakout room on pesticides and getting them banned in Europe. Another one on my
vote on this. Everything is also relevant for Switzerland, actually, because we're going to vote on pesticides in like 2 weeks.
Really? To ban them, or?
Well, yeah, there's a popular initiative, and we hope, yeah, it might be hard, but maybe it will pass.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
So a popular vote, you know.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, well, we also have a session on migration and having a more welcoming culture in Europe. Not sure if that's relevant. And otherwise, we have another session on GMOs.
What's the last?
On GMOs, getting them banned and making sure that the new GMOs are not deregulated, which is what the industry wants.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything is relevant, I'd say. So maybe send me to this impact of technology on the environment.
Great. Okay. Can you do that, Greg?
Oh, I'm sending you right now.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
And that's Ned back. Hey, Ned. How are you?
Sorry about that. I had to pop off.
Not at all, not at all. So we've gone into the breakout rooms. I'm not sure if you're interested in joining one.
I'm going to join the migration one. I just got the invite.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Charles, are you around? Okay, no worries. Angela, do you want to go into, hi Miriam, do you want to go into a breakout room, Angela, or are you fine hanging out here?
No, I'm fine.
Wow.
I'm
Okay.
thinking, so it's fine.
All right, Marco, you want to go into one of the rooms?
Yeah.
Marco's doing some activism somewhere. Okay, great. So Miriam.
Yes.
I think that's just you and me here now then, more or less. Okay. Tell me more then about
Sorry,
what you want.
Mouthful of, I just bunged one of these in. Sorry. Just want to say. We've got the builders in and I'm just trying to keep it all together, you know.
I know.
Yeah, I just think it's really interesting. I started as a campaigner when I was very young, and then street theatre, anti-nuclear street theatre.
Okay, so another form of campaigning.
Yeah, so we go out on the street, sort of campaigning, well, not even campaigning, sort of doing street theatre, talking about the effects of nuclear, blah, blah. And then I think I got active politically, but I never lost the campaigning urge. And my institute does a lot of campaigning, more like, how would I say, almost grown-up campaigning, if you know what I mean. You know, we write articles and try and persuade people and that. But I never lost that urge to dress up and be silly, you know, and sort of make a point passionately.
Yeah.
And so, you know, so I went to Oxford and I learned how to dress up a campaign as something terribly posh, you know what I mean? Oh, that's very learned, that. But actually, I use my campaigning, you know what I mean, when I'm doing speeches. So I dispense with the, you know, you sort of build on the facts and then present them. And so I think it's really interesting. I think that's the power of the Green appeal, that it's visual, even in the words, it's visual, isn't it? It's something people can imagine. And it's not boring, but how do we manage that process? That's what's interesting to me. So I've got, you know, I've now got probably 40 people that come to me every week and they want to campaign with me. How do you manage that and input, as you say, to the political process and the research process? Because I think, I have a feeling that research and campaigning overlaps more, you know, policy than it ever did before. How do you divorce climate campaigning from research on climate and from political statements about climate and even science? Because even the scientists get pushed in all directions politically and they're muzzled what they can say. You see it in health with the pandemic, every statement is politically charged.
Yeah.
So I just wondered how you manage that from an administrative point of view and how you manage it from a managerial point of view. How do we keep that show on the road so that we're as powerful as we can be as a movement? I find that really a big question, very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, for me,
how you conceive of it.
How we do it, no, we're very, you know, we are an institutional body, right? We are in the European Parliament. We're really fully integrated into this whole bubble machinery. And the biggest challenge we have, I mean, I think in terms of like the traditional advocacy of really like the Oxford high level arguments and stuff towards the Oxford trained bureaucrats in the Commission. We do that quite well, quite easily. That's not a big problem for us. Where we struggle more is in showing the relevance of all that to a normal person, right? Where even I would say at EU level, the best examples we have were things like, thanks to the EU, you no longer have to pay roaming fees, which is a tangible thing, but is also only tangible for those people who actually travel and care, you know, and actually there aren't that many people in Europe that are crossing borders as much as we bubbly people do. So even the most tangible things are still not tangible to everyone who doesn't have the same opportunities, right? So that I think is one huge thing that we struggle with, that I think is a general issue with the green movement. Now that we're seen as a little bit bobo and a little bit, you know, posh, and we have time to care about animals because, you know, we don't have to worry about ourselves or whatever. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is really the lack of well, maybe a couple of things. One is about timing. So it's very difficult to set up a campaign and really work together with people, get them to understand what's the issue, why it matters, why they should get engaged, and how that will make a difference when you only know that the vote is happening maybe 3 weeks in advance. So it's very difficult to kind of build a movement that takes a lot of time in 2 weeks. So that, and sometimes I think this is not a coincidence, you know, it's all done on purpose so that we don't have time to mobilize and coordinate and really make a stink when these votes are being done. But that also, it means that it's hard to get kind of, well, the other thing which is linked to that is that it's hard to get the media interested. I don't really know exactly why, other than the fact that many media, the media sector is in crisis. People are not investing to send correspondents to be based in a particular city, and if they were sending correspondents to a particular city, I guess it would be Washington or I don't know, Berlin rather than Brussels, right? So the lack of kind of media attention is another problem. But I hope that one way in which we can excel if we do it in a more coordinated manner is precisely by making these kinds of links with the member parties on the national level and learning more from them. Because we also have a tendency to get very stuck in our own institutional deadlines and debates and, you know, this or that. And we don't take the time to really reach out and figure out, like, okay, how is this issue being perceived at the national level? Is there a group of, I don't know, very active or very disgruntled civil society organizations that could be mobilized? We have blanks in our knowledge of just being able to map the situation on the national level that we want to try and fix with this outreach team. And I think by learning also from the member parties, we can have a kind of exchange as well, where they learn from us a little bit what are the idiosyncrasies of working in the bubble. So I don't know what you think about all of this, but
I think it's incredibly helpful, actually. I really.
I've lost you, Miriam. I'm going to turn my my camera off in case that helps the connection.
Anyone there?
Oh, there you are.
Yeah. Oh, you're back. Ah. Hello.
Yeah, I think we froze for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was really useful what you just said, actually. Really, really useful. And I think the media is a common problem that we need to fight together. I totally agree about that.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
And I think from my perspective in the UK, it's clear that the media has been muzzled. The media has been threatened, like the BBC has been threatened. If they don't support the government's line on everything, they'll lose their license. So the media is clearly censored. And I think the only solution for green campaigners is to start their own. You know, we need to, and I've got about 20 websites and magazines and I don't know what else, TV and everything. I think we have to do that because and people do listen to them. So I think that's a big part of it. You know, telling the truth and getting around the fake news is a big one.
Yeah.
Maybe even key. Someone once said to me that the German Greens did well because they do have some media, they have some newspapers, and at least they've got a way to speak to people. So that matters. I also think when I'm campaigning, I have the opposite thing. I can't get an overview of the European bubble, and it's very helpful if you can give us that, because I can see what's happening in our country and I can see what my members do in different countries. So the last thing I ran, I had about 18 EU people, but we didn't have the overview of what's happening at the policy level in the EU and what you're trying to do. We can only see the results, if you like, out
yes,
in terms of, you know, what's happened on the ground or where the issues are, say with pesticides, GMOs, but actually a shorthand when you say, well, this is a focus for us, we're campaigning on that. That's just so useful. And I can similarly say to you, I've got a delegation going to do COP, whatever. What are the messages that you're feeling comfortable with? And I can tell you what I'm pushing forward, and then we can kind of triangulate together so that actually the message they get is the same, or it doesn't have to be the same, or it could be complementary.
It's enough. Yeah, exactly.
And then suddenly that takes off. And I'd love to work like that. I think it'd be really helpful, and it would just make me, because I can't explain about it. You know, I might say, well, I want to do a campaign on this because maybe somebody tells me or something. I don't know whether there's something you're already working on. You know what I mean? What the knowledge is out there. I've nowhere near it. So sharing that information, I think, would make us both much stronger. I think it's a really, really good idea. And cut the work down to a certain extent, because
I know, right?
Really good idea. And it's just reassuring, isn't it? You know, when I saw that you were doing pesticides and GMOs and stuff, I thought, oh, thank God for that. Do you know what I mean? That's really good. Because it might be a gap in what I'm doing at the moment. And I think I should be doing that. I just don't have any more time. And then I can say to them, well, you're doing that. And this is the information. This is the web area to look at, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think it's really, really, really good idea. I don't know if other people agree with me, but yeah, if we can liaise, and a meeting like this, I don't know, once a month would probably halve my blood pressure, I think.
Cool. Just to know what's going on. What are the big,
It's just really nice to know you're there, really.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we can help with some things, and you can help us with others. The others on the call that can help.
For us as well, there are a lot of areas in which, you know, action is really important, but where actually at EU level we don't really have much to hang on because there isn't much of a competence or whatever. And for me, I mean, one of those key issues is precisely this media freedom or media pluralism question, where I wish that as a group we were really campaigning on this, because this is really the basis of a democracy, basically. Also one that's constantly under attack and has been under attack for decades now. So I really wish that I could find someone in the Green family that was like taking up this campaign and really running with it across Europe, in a way that we as the Greens in the European Parliament haven't been able to do. No? So I would love it if one day we had like a mapping of these are the key issues, you know, these ones are being dealt with by these people because at EU level it makes more sense. These ones, you know, we could do a regional thing because and you know, and these ones have nothing to do with Europe, so we need to find another way to coordinate this. I don't know, via the EGP or whoever it might be, but that we do this mapping together, and then we really allocate who's filling in what gap.
And you know, it even comes down to the website, because we've been trying to sort of organize this on our website to show people what research we do, what campaigns we do, what issues we do. You know what I mean? And actually, that's where it really arose from, because I felt that I wasn't speaking to the public to make it clear what campaigns we're doing, because we're doing a lot of campaigns and they're quite fluid. And that's how it sort of arose. We realized we struggled to represent it well. And so that might be quite interesting if we talk to each, if we work together on that and maybe try and I wouldn't say, well, I don't know if it'd be an archive, but a list or a common grouping where maybe we can post. The EU does that, doesn't it? The EU itself, I think, has a website where you can put like events. You can say, I'm running an event on this, but I wonder if we could do that on campaigns, so that somehow there was a repository of sort of green campaigning. If you think it's safe, because the other trouble is, then the records go on there as well. But if there's any way internally or somehow that we can, share who's working on what, who has worked on what campaigns exist or have existed. That's one of my bugbears. I might work on food one year and write a book that's quite successful. You might do it another year, and actually we don't even know. And then we reinvent the wheel, and we're like, oh, what do I say about this? Am I contradicting something? And it would be so much better. And in fact, I raised this at the Jeff last week. I think, we've been doing stuff at the European level now for what, I think 18 years with the Greens. But actually, as I get older, I realise that knowledge gets lost. Do you know what I mean? And then in the end, it's just the old fogies that remember it. But actually, it's just as meaningful. Women's rights, whatever. It's nearly always the same. So, can we somehow build a knowledge base of campaigns? I just think we could all use that all the time, interactively and historically. So we've got that information somewhere, and then we can send the links. You know what I mean? When we're doing our stuff, say I'm doing stuff on women, I can say, oh yeah, the Greens are doing this or whatever. The only thing is, if it's political, then us think tanks and charities have to be a bit careful to say this isn't political campaigning. So that's another issue, isn't it? What is politically allowed? So there's those things, and that's where I think campaigns are quite useful, because then they can be, in inverted commas, non-political. And what you said at the beginning, changing opinion, which what I like to work at the vanguard of the unconverted and convert. That's my favourite thing. So we sort of soften them up. That's what people say, and then we bring them into the green ideas. So that's also quite interesting, isn't it? If we send them straight into politics, they're going to say, "Oh no, I don't do that." Exactly. If it's campaigns and it's sold as anti-GMO campaigns, it's far more palatable with a wider. So I think all those things are really quite interesting, and how you represent those is really fascinating, and how you tie that into this new media question that you raised, which I think is, I think maybe less than campaigning on media, we should do it. We should actually make the platform, make the platforms. We've also got to tell people that it's being harmed, but also make a platform that we can all express that stuff. So there's a free space for the European citizens to be enabled to know the truth about everything. I don't know. Sorry, I've talked too much. What do you think about that stuff? Or have we got to stop now?
I guess people will be coming back, but we can keep chatting until they do. What was I going to say? No, I think it would be super cool if we had some way of, I don't know if it could be in a Google Drive. The thing is, I hate Google. But some sort of common drive that everyone could just access all the time and just update, like, okay, I'm working on this issue now, and I don't know how that could.
Could we not do? You know what we could do? I used to do it because I used to work on webs, and I worked in Baxter Healthcare, funny enough, in those days, and I used to make the web for everybody. I wonder if we couldn't have somebody so that it's visually attractive.
Your connection turned up. You used to make what?
Website. A website at the core of the company for people and their their work. Whether one could have an attractive website so that it's externally visible, because there's all that stuff about internal stuff can be very ugly but clunky, difficult to use. Whether one could post it somewhere and say, the Greens here are doing this and so is doing that, so it's actually got a picture, almost like a blog. I don't know. I think that's where one has to think, what's the architecture of that, so it's accessible and usable and attractive. I don't know,
like like a green wiki or something.
Yeah. I don't know if we could do it on WordPress, maybe. Almost. Yeah, you could probably do it on the news tab of WordPress or something. And maybe have if you had one person who's like the webmaster who posts it, or maybe several of us have passwords and just put it on. Could do that.
Yeah, I guess everyone should have their own password and then update their own things. Of course, the danger is that we all put random rambly things that then no one reads, but having one central.
Yeah, a small website maybe where, you know, maybe 5 or 6, or maybe, I don't know, somebody from each country, whatever you want, post something. But the danger, of course, is somebody posts something bad and that screws it all up for everyone else. So that, I don't know, we can't really plan it on this, but I think, yeah, some central repository of what we're all doing, sharing, could be quite interesting.
I wonder if we could build on these like SpotMe platforms and these fancy things that are all made for, I don't know, connecting people and I don't know if there's a space that we can like host like what I'm working on, connect with me, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
This is the first time you SpotMe, so, but.
That'd be quite interesting, isn't it? Because it's quite useful to talk about different things and it's quite fluid as you go on it. It develops things in your mind. I think I'd like to work on that and perhaps one hadn't thought of it before. So
yeah,
that's
exactly.
the answer. Ask if SpotMe can host it. See if it works for a year doing campaigning on it and how much they get enhanced. God, that'd be amazing.
Let's see. I wonder, we can ask Greg and Angela if that's something we could look into as a follow-up.
Fascinating.
Then in the next council, which will hopefully be, you know, in person, it would still be nice to have an online repository, you know, where you could maybe keep your connections and your ideas and stuff like this. So maybe we could build on SpotMe.
Great idea.
So tell me about your COP delegation then. You mentioned you have what, 19 people going to the COP?
Yeah, this one is the one that's it's the end of May to the it's 3 weeks into June, and it's called SB. It's normally run in Bonn in the summer, and it's scientific, I think finance and scientific, sort of in anticipation of the COP each year. So it's part of the working groups.
It's like the international form.
Yeah, and so you can sort of input to the working groups, and I found it's better because it's smaller than the big COP, and so you can actually get to meet, you know, the leaders of the COP and everything, and actually input your ideas, and then they take it forward to the COP. So I found it really quite useful in the past. So I've got 19 people. I just registered them all today. It's an absolute nightmare because I had 30 applicants to do it. And it's great that a lot of them are Greens, it has to be said, and so it means we have an influence, you know, really, which is really nice. So that's quite good. And I'm just trying to do the same for the biodiversity one as well. So that, because I think both of those are really good to input to.
Yeah.
Not the network.
Maybe we can chat about that as well, because we've also, I mean, we'll have some MEPs that are official delegates at the COP, and we'll be wanting to do a lot of work with the activists who are there as well, gathering in Glasgow. So and the same biodiversity one. So great, cool. Well, lovely to connect, Miriam. Let's stay in touch.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Really nice to talk to you.
Yeah, same. So I see people are coming back from the breakout rooms, which is lovely, but I don't think we need to hang around much longer, right? Unless you want to tell us about something super exciting, an outcome of your breakout room. She's making a face like, no, I'm done. Okay.
We have a hashtag. You will like it.
Yeah? What's the hashtag?
Yes, so everybody can speak their mind. Sort of, we're trying to have a universal hashtag that can be applied in the different member states, but there will come also a more technical and correct one. But then the more, how do you say, approachable one might be, depending if it goes through the process and actually wins, hashtag peace not bombs.
Nice.
So I guess everybody would want to have a t-shirt at some point when they start campaigning. Yeah, I thought so. So on that note.
Great. Thank you. Take care. All right. Well, I think we can declare this meeting complete. I hope everyone managed to connect with someone amazing that you will follow up with. I know I did. So thanks very much to everyone for being here, and see you again very soon, I hope.
Really good. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Bye, everyone. Take care. Ciao.
Thanks for organising it. Thank you.